welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be a little bit different from what I normally do. I don't really make TBR videos, but because the N.E.W.T Readathon is right around the corner and I'm really excited about that, and I see everyone posting their TBRs, I'm just like, I'm gonna join in and I'm gonna do it too. Also, because I know some of you are also doing it, I thought I would share what I'm planning to read, chat about it. I don't know, maybe give you some inspiration. We'll see. Also, let me just say, disclaimer time, that I am totally aware that I will not be reading all of these books this month, but I just set a book for every prompt anyway because I thought it would be easier if I do get there to just know what I'm reading already, because some of these were kind of hard. I really had to dig through my bookshelves to figure out what to read for certain prompts, and also this is not set in stone. I might still change my mind. I might still do something different. If you don't know what the N.E.W.T Readathon is, it is a yearly readathon hosted by G over at Book Roast on YouTube. She's lovely. You should definitely go follow her if you don't already. And she basically created this readathon where twice a year we have a month-long readathon, so in April and in August, and the idea is that we are sitting our exams for Hogwarts. It's a Harry Potter inspired readathon. This year she created a new thing, which is a career guidebook, and obviously because I'm so predictable, I chose to become a magizoologist, and because of that you have specific things that you have to fulfill. And in April I did do all of these and more, so I have to get a few specific grades in my N.E.W.T readathon, and I will tell you what those are in a second. I will link all of the things that I'm talking about in the description below so that you can find it for yourself if you want to participate. You still have time. This is my N.E.W.T TBR. Yes, okay, here we go. I absolutely have to sit Care of Magical Creatures, which is, you know, obvious. You need that for being a magizoologist. Basically, you have to read 3 books to get a maximum grade. So each grade that you want to get is equivalent to a certain prompt. I need to have an O, an outstanding in Care of Magical Creatures, and exceeds expectations in Charms, and also in Herbology. This is a total of 7 books. Obviously, I'm an absolute overachiever, and I have set myself 36 books to read, which I will not read. So the prompt for an acceptable in Care of Magical Creatures is Follow the Spiders. Why couldn't it be Follow the Butterflies? Book title that starts with the letter A for Aragon. I am going to be reading A Question of Holmes, which is number 4 on the Sherlock Holmes series, and I am going to be listening to this in an audiobook form. For an exceeds expectations in Care of Magical Creatures, I have to read a book under 300 pages, and for that I have chosen to read Lord of the Flies. I don't know, this is a really old classic. I read this in year 10 at school, and this is actually the book that I had in year 10. It's all annotated and it's underlined and stuff for my exam, and I actually really enjoyed this book at school, and oftentimes I think about rereading it, so I'm going to be doing that now. To get an outstanding in Care of Magical Creatures, I have to grab onto Fox's tail, read a book with a bird on the cover, and for this I will be reading The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I have read this before, but I have been thinking recently about rereading this series because it is really good, so I'm going to be doing that. And this is a really beautiful edition. It's completely gold. I mean, other things that I absolutely have to do is Charms. And to get an acceptable in Charms, I have to read a book that I think has a gorgeous cover. And for that, I will be reading The Believers by Zoe Heller, because this is a gorgeous cover. It's not too long, so I hopefully will get through this pretty quickly. To get an exceeds expectations in Charms, I have to read a comic book, manga, graphic novel, or a book under 150 pages. I don't have this yet because I need to go get it from the library tomorrow, but I will be reading Akira Volume 2, this is Volume 1, and for outstanding we have Spongify, a softening charm, and so I have to read a paperback book. For this, I have chosen Dead Gorgeous. This is a floppy paperback. I love that. I am not 100% sure if I'm going to get to this. Then, moving on to Herbology. For Herbology, I need to get at least an exceeds expectations, but to get there, I need to first do my acceptable, and the acceptable for Herbology is Mandrake. Quick, put your headphones on and listen to an audiobook. And if not, then you can read a book with a green cover. I will be listening to A Case for Jamie, which is number 3 in the Sherlock Holmes series, so I'll be listening to this one before the 4th one, which is for Care of Magical Creatures. I'm really into this series, so I think I will listen to them pretty quickly. For my exceeds expectations, I need to read a book between 350 and 390 pages. You have no idea how long it took me to figure this one out. And for that, I will be reading The Last Child. I've had this on my bookshelf since last year, and I still haven't picked it up. It is a thriller, kind of suspenseful type of thing. So hopefully it will be captivating and I will not be able to put it down and I'll be able to get through it pretty quickly. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know how many times I'm going to say hopefully in this video, but you can kind of let me know in the comments. For an outstanding in herbology, which is totally unnecessary, but here we are. I need to read a book with a flower on the cover, and for that I shall be rereading Looking for Alaska. I have read this in 2014, so it's been a while. Moving on to all of the things that I do not need and I'm totally just doing for overachievements. And let's begin with Ancient Runes. And for Ancient Runes, an acceptable EWAS, I don't know if that's how you say it, partnership. Read a book recommended by a friend. And for this, I hope to be reading The Penguin Lessons by Tom Mitchell. This was recommended to me by my sister. For exceeds expectations, I need to read a book written in the past tense. And for this, I have selected The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. For an outstanding in Ancient Runes, I need to read a book that has been on my TBR for freaking ages. And I will be reading The Infinite Wisdom of Harriet Rose by Diana Janney. I did start reading it in 2008, so 11 years ago. For an acceptable in arithmancy, I need to read a book that ends on an even numbered page. I will be reading Late in the Day by Tessa Hadley. For exceeds expectations in arithmancy, I need to read a standalone, and for that I have chosen to read Gifted. This is by Nikita Lalwani, and it's about a girl who's brilliant at maths, and she starts to grow up, and we'll see what happens. To get an outstanding in arithmancy, I need to read a book that's longer than 350 pages, and for this, I have selected Mockingjay. So it's the second book in the Hunger Games series. The next subject is astronomy, and to get an acceptable in astronomy, I need to read a book that has a moon anywhere on the cover or in the title. And for this, I have chosen this book called Dark Matter by Michelle Paver. There's a little moon there, as you can see, and it's apparently like a ghost story. Super mysterious. I'm really excited about this, but also a little bit scared that it's going to be scary. To get an exceeds expectations in astronomy, I need to read a book that has the word night on the title or on the title series. So I have selected this one, which is called The Other Side of Midnight. I think that's slightly cheating, but also not. And this is by Sydney Sheldon. I was gifted this by somebody like a few years ago. I've never got around to it. For an outstanding in astronomy, I have to read a sci-fi book or a book with stars on the cover. And for this, I have decided to read Descender Volume 2. I do not have this yet. Next is Defense Against the Dark Arts, and for an acceptable, I need to read a book that's black under the dust jacket. And for that, I have chosen to read Room, which, as you will be able to see, is black under the dust jacket. For an exceeds expectations in Defense Against the Dark Arts, we have Gilderoy's Memory Charm. So we have to grab a pen, and the first book that you remember just now from our TBR. First book that came into my mind from my TBR was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. For an outstanding in Defense Against the Dark Arts, we have Cornish Pixies, swatted away with a book written by an English author or set in England. Now, I struggled with this one a lot because most of the books that I had that I wanted to read were already picked, and then the other ones that I wanted to read were not set in England or not by English authors, or I wasn't really sure. I picked Brief Answers to the Big Questions by Stephen Hawking, who you will know is an English person. Well, he's no longer, he's dead now, but when he was alive, he was British. For divination, to get an acceptable, I would need to read a white book. I have selected Dead Man's Folly by Agatha Christie. Now this is like grayish kind of cover, but like we're saying this is white because this is white, okay? Don't stop it. For an exceed expectations, I need to read a short story or a collection of short stories. I have not yet decided if I'm going to read the whole collection or just select one short story to be able to do this prompt, but I have chosen Tales of the Unexpected by Roald Dahl. I have had this for 12 years. I've read like a couple of them, but I have not read this. And for an outstanding in divination, I need to read the last book that I bought or took out of the library. But the one that I selected for this I did buy very recently, and it is The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. I have read this before when I was like 14, so I got this copy at the secondhand shop and it's practically new, so I'm really happy with it. For History of Magic, to get an acceptable, I need to read a fantasy. I'm going to be rereading this bad boy because honestly, I was stumped. And I don't know, I just thought it was very fitting for History of Magic to read something about the history of magic. I don't know, did you get it? Because this is like a prequel to Harry Potter. Yeah? Okay. For Exceeds Expectations, I need to read a book which includes a map. And for that, I have selected Caraval. And as you'll be able to see, there is a map right there. And last but not least, for History of Magic, to get an outstanding, we have Tom Riddle's diary. So we have to find a fond memory. And so we have to reread a favorite or a classic. So I have chosen to read The Crimes of Grindelwald. Yay! You see like what I did there? I have not set my TBR for Muggle Studies because I never set my TBR for Muggle Studies. The prompt for acceptable is to read a book with a cover that includes an actual photo element, person, item, place, etc. For Exceeds Expectations, you would need to read a book set in our real world. And for Outstanding, you would need to read a book written by a person of color. I don't know why I didn't do this actually. I'm only just now realizing that I didn't set my TBR for Muggle Studies, but ever since I started these readathons, like I've never got to Muggle Studies, and I feel because I'm a Muggle-born, I wouldn't want to do this class, so whatever, don't judge me. For an acceptable in potions, we have Polyjuice Potion, which is read your friend's favorite book. And for this, I am going to be rereading Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. This is one of my friend's favorite book. She actually sent me this specific copy herself with little annotations, which I treasure. Like, I cherish this book so freaking much. I love it so much, and every time I read it, I cry because it's like I'm hanging out with her and reading it. For an Exceeds Expectations in potions, we have a house ingredient. So we need to read a book with a cover in our house, in our Hogwarts house colors. I am obviously a Hufflepuff. I'm going to be reading this, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I might not read this edition specifically because this is my collector's edition. I don't want to like ruin it. For an outstanding in potions, I need to read a book which starts with a prologue. Now this took me freaking forever to find, but I did finally find one. I probably will not get to this, but here we are. And this is Jack of Ravens by Mark Chadburn. Oh my god. I'm really tired today, by the way. And this is actually the Kingdom of the Serpent series, book number 1. I don't know. Am I going to be into this series? Who knows? But this starts with a prologue. For Transfiguration, which is our last subject, to get an acceptable, I need to read a book which has LGBTQA+. Is that how you say it? LGBTQA+ representation. And for this, I will be listening to the audiobook of Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. I'm really late to that party, but what else is new? For an Exceeds Expectations in Transfiguration, I need to read a book that's not a first in the series. For that, I plan to read Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins, which is the 3rd book in the Hunger Games series. I don't know if you noticed, but I have a beautiful collection of this series. They're all like super sparkly and beautiful. For Transfiguration, to get an outstanding, McGonagall does not mess around. So we have to read a book that's over 500 pages long. I can guarantee you now, I will not get to this, but just in case, by some miracle, I managed to read 31 books before the end of August. I have selected Eldest by Christopher Paoloni. This is number 2 in the Aragon series. I don't know if that's what they're called. They're called the Inherited Cycle. I read Aragon last summer. I liked it, and then I ordered this, and I got that far, and I was just like, I can't with this book. Maybe I can try again. That's my insane TBR. For August, I am 100% aware that I will probably get to maybe 12, 13 books, so I'm gonna go rearrange my bookshelves now, so you wish me luck for that. I hope that you are as excited as me about this readathon. I will probably be reading every single freaking break that I have every day. I do have about 3 hours a day that I allocate for rest, because if you're like new here and you don't know who I am, if you don't follow my channel, like I have a chronic illness, so I have to rest a lot. If you do want to hang out with me throughout this readathon and like you can chat, we can become friends, we can cheer each other on, you have all my social media handles down below so you can follow me and let me know if you're participating and what you're planning on reading. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave it a like and a comment and consider subscribing to my channel. If you have not done that already, I make videos twice a week about fibromyalgia and books and other magical things that I like. That is all the things I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day and I will see you in my next video. Bye!